And hi, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. I just have just some brief notes on the debate. And I just want to say shout out to everyone and thank everyone so much for coming in and watching that debate. Now, I will say that it was definitely a much different debate, and I think the debate had, of course, the demeanor and the dynamic of the debate was more than manageable on this one. And I think I will say I want to start out with just a couple of things. I do believe that Mike Pence stood his ground, and I really think that he did quite well, and I think that he really set the tone. He really changed changed the trajectory, or even I think he actually surprised many people with not only his responses, but how he was able to he brilliantly put Harris back on subject and back on topic, no matter how much propaganda, no matter how many tour to Charlottesville that she took, no matter how many, you know, blasts from the past that she came with. I'm just thinking, are you guys, is that all you have? Is that all the substance that you have after all this time? You still want to keep this white supremacist thread going, and it's just not there. It's just not. I can't imagine how many more times that Trump would need to. Why would he need to denounce white supremacy for 4 years? And this is another credit. I've jumped right into this. Let me go ahead and thank the patrons: Derek C. Williams, Killer Whale Channels, The Definition of Anarchy, Chrysler Imperial H, Let the Truth Be Told, AZ Infidel, and Cold War Jesus. And I'm just saying, Pence I think Pence just wove everything in so nicely. It was pretty seamless, and it was calm. It was cool, and he just got right to the point. And the thing about Kamala's body language is absolutely distracting and disgusting. I it's at the head bobbling, the head dribble, the the neck action. Oh gosh, to the Lockhart perspective, the shoulder pads. I mean, it's almost like she's standing on a pole, or is, it's just it's poor representation for their party. Now, I'm just saying, I don't, and her record, he brought out her record. I just think he pretty much just nailed her. He just nailed her on so many things. She's virtue signaling and boasting and bragging about her record. And as soon as her record comes up, I will not be lectured. Well, what will you do? I mean, well, it's your record. Stand on it. If you're proud of it, stand on it. But it actually doesn't look very good. She doesn't appear to be the most experienced. She appears to be another destabilizer of the Black community. That's her claim to fame, and that's much like her candidate. Now, I don't know which one's the most. I would say, Biden, he's affected generations. He's affected generations with his policies and his rhetoric and his white supremacy. He's had 47 years of white supremacy on the floor. But what has he denounced? He said he was proud of his 94 crime bill. He said he was proud of it. And Kamala, in fact, she's locked up even parents with sick children with her war on truancy. Yes. Sheree Peoples. I'd love to have Sheree Peoples on my show. so she can tell the good old Black community about Kamala. She can tell chameleon Kamala about her record. Top cop, whatever you want to call her. She's an opportunist. Her record is an opportunist. And she talks about, oh, well, I sat on this and this. I'm like, honey, I've heard you sat on quite a few things all the way to get you to where you are. You've sat on many things. Nobody has sat more than you. I got to give you that. So that was a digression, but I'm saying that, you know, she just gets picked apart. She got picked apart in the most clear and concise way. And the moderator, I don't know, in terms of an improvement, Dawn's journey, you say, I respect your opinion, but I'm very wrong. Well, let's talk about it. When you say someone's wrong, you please expound on that. We like counter arguments. So where is it? Where's the wrong part? What part am I wrong about? What part? It's not all about opinion. See, that's the thing. It's not all about opinion. There's still a difference between a fact and ideology and what fits somebody's ideology or somebody's truth versus absolute truth. But something specific? Give us something specific. What lives? I respect your opinion too, but when you tell somebody that they're wrong about something, they expect a counter argument with some evidence to go with it. Hand out fake facts. What fake facts? You know, he does have he is briefed. He does have an actual administration. So his facts actually come from other people, from actual sources. So are you talking about his facts or their facts? The CDC facts are fake, which, please give us something else. But you said lies. You said fake facts. And I'm asking which facts are fake. What's the source of the fake facts? Sure, clearly you got to have some source when you tell somebody that they're lying. What lies? What fake facts? What's the source of the facts, of the fake facts? We're all waiting. You mean the who? Which administrative facts were wrong? Are you referring to Dr. Fauci? Are you referring to the CDC? Are you referring to Dr. Birx? Are you referring to the WHO, the World Health Organization? In fact, Fauci has come out recently against the interview that he had with somebody that was writing that gave an interview and said that and disputed that. Okay, what do you know about Fauci? How factual is Fauci? Do you know anything about Fauci's background? Tell us about Fauci. So Fauci's facts are wrong, or Birx's facts are wrong. The CDC's facts were wrong. The WHO organization is wrong. What about Fauci? We found some holes in Fauci's information as well. So I'm saying we like to expound on things. When you charge somebody with a lie, when you charge somebody with something that's fake, or when you tell somebody they've ruined, or they're fake, or they're lying, you have to bring something behind that. You need to bring something to come with that, because otherwise your argument goes nowhere. And if you fill it up with propaganda, it's still not, the argument's still lost. He mishandled. Okay. So did you hear anything else about how? Did you hear anything else about? Did you hear any of Mike Pence's response? Downplaying. So what was he supposed to do? Did you suggest that he come out? We're all gonna die. Is that what he was supposed to come out and do? So, and then how he mishandled the entire thing? Mishandled. So for you to say that he mishandled the entire thing, then that must mean that he had no opposition from anyone, right? Because he doesn't get to make all the decisions by himself. It's not a dictatorship as much as people are so well, they know history so well. Tell us about the mishandling. Okay, but it was a big deal. You know what? And then, you know what? I think we all know that Donald Trump is not perfect, but we can also find other presidents in history that aren't perfect as well. And I think it to their credit, when they talk about leadership, when an EMT comes to your house, they don't tell you that you're going to die, or that you're facing the worst case scenario when they pick you up. They need to keep you stable and calm until they get you the help or the meds that you need. They don't come in telling you, well, we're EMTs, but you're going to die. That's not leadership. That's also a part of caring. That's also a part of caring for someone. When you care for a patient, or when you care for someone that's in distress, you don't psychologically blow their minds. I mean, that's not EMT training. That's first aid 101. It's like I'm going to read your comment here. I appreciate you for coming in, Don's Journey. It's like he's saying that the American people aren't responsible enough to make their own judgment. How did he know that people were going to say, listen, I'm saying you've never had, you will not even have a healthcare professional that gives you gloom and doom. They want to appear stable, and they want to treat your, and when they're not a doctor, they're going to treat your symptoms. They're not diagnosed. He didn't diagnose anybody, but a part of that is the psychological stability. It's not even about, I mean, we can on his style. Donald Trump has a style unlike any other president. I think that's well established. But will I sit here and say that he mishandled the whole thing? No. In fact, Pence brought up an excellent point when it comes to pandemic scale events. The equipment wasn't even replaced by the previous administration. And if you check around a little bit more, you'll find out that they actually knew that something was coming along. Many of these people knew before the Trump administration. Okay, then so for him, so if he so there's no way he can mishandle the entire thing by telling people to keep calm. And then if you don't recall, we were under impeachment for the from through Christmas. And the lovely vile Speaker Pelosi stood up and ripped up the speech in which he spoke out about the virus. He spoke about that in his State of the Union address. He addressed, and they were going to keep an eye on it. In fact, the World Health Organization miscommunicated the facts on the actual virus. They said it wasn't even human communicable from human contact at first. So I'm just, this is a review of the whole debate right now. And it's not just about Trump this, Trump that, Trump that. Give the American people time to prepare, the opportunity to prepare. Okay, what does that look like? Can they prepare for a pandemic alone? This was a novel virus. That means that this wasn't a known virus. It wasn't, no one had, that means, from what I understand, that means that no one had any previous immunities to it. So how were the American people alone, whether they are medically informed or not, how are they going to prepare? They couldn't. In fact, everything that he did, including shutting down the borders and stopping and limiting the travel, they did call him xenophobic and all of these terms. Meanwhile, Pelosi is inviting people to Chinatown, and they told people in New York, the officials in New York told people not to let it dominate and ruin their lives. Go on about your life. Nancy says, come on down to Chinatown. It's fine. We're safe. They're being racist towards the Chinese people. Well, we could probably go around in circles and circles about this, but I would not say that there's no perfect man on this earth, and there's no perfect scientist on this earth. This was a novel virus, and there's still things about that are unknown. There's no way that one man can ruin people's lives as a whole. Well, it's not even about disagreeing with me. It's about this expectation that people have had for Donald Trump, but not the previous administration, the one before that. Many of those presidents made mistakes too. We had Ebola, we had SARS, we've had all kinds of events where people lost their lives, but people want to blow their hair back every time. It's propaganda. And I'm saying, I appreciate you for coming on, and I appreciate you for coming on. Yeah, but let's move on. We can go down memory lane another day. So, all right, so we're going on here. Like I said, I'm already 15 minutes over. So they talked about, see, here's the other thing. And this is my comment about the virus was the projection came from Fauci and Birx with their computer generated models. They anticipated 2 million lives to be lost. So I would say that if, as horrible as it is, any loss of life, even one, is too much. But if we came in under 2 million lives, then we're far under the number of casualties that were projected. That was one of the most staggering things that I it's like all of a sudden people can't do math. All of a sudden people couldn't do math. 2 million versus 200,000 plus. It's horrible. Yes. It can happen again. So done there. All right. And then, but with all that said, with all of the tragedy, she's bringing up toilet paper. Where are you guys going to get your next roll of toilet paper from? I could not believe toilet paper. Yes, people were panicking about toilet paper. I bet you could probably find some now, but honestly, these people need you to need them. That's the bottom line. It's always, but you need the government. You need us. If you don't have us, then you're done. You need your government to make everything all right. You need your government to make you safe. You need your government to pay you. And this is all, to me, this is all setting the longer this economy is suppressed, the longer that this goes on, the more likely it is that people are going to need them. Enters the Green New Deal, the taxes, and yes, they have said multiple times that they're going to raise taxes. Have they clarified? Whether they clarify it or not, they're going to raise taxes. And is that what when people are down on their luck, is that what you do? You take more money out of their pockets? Does that sound like a sound plan? And then here we go. You got all the language. They come up with these word salads, a super spreader. I mean, I swear, he went from super predators to super spreaders to, and even the moderator, she tried to smear on that. A Rose Garden event. A Rose Garden event with people not wearing masks. Well, some people have medical reasons that they cannot wear a mask. Human beings were actually not made to have their nasal passages, their airways blocked by a face diaper. That's just not what they were meant to do. So, and see, the next thing, what they're doing is they're ghosting the 25th Amendment. So they figure, okay, if we can't get rid of Trump in one way or another, let's just pull out the 25th Amendment and make it, he can't serve anything. And see, did you hear the other part? You already see they're setting up the big pharma. They're going to consider, I would imagine that the insurance companies and big pharma are going to work together and make it, even if COVID is a pre-existing condition. That she was lauding pre-existing condition the whole time, but she said it. You guys heard it there. So I would imagine that they're making that argument. That's going to be an argument made to either not cover people, or it's going to be an argument made to raise. That's going to make your premium higher. And that's not just on health insurance. That might even be on life insurance. Who knows what the industry might do with all of this, with all the things going on. Okay, Don's Journey says also the fact that his supporters are unwilling to point out his mistakes. Okay, which mistakes would you be referring to? Whose mistakes? We're doing pronouns here. His supporters, which ones? Pence's supporters or Trump supporters? People point out that's not true. You have people that point out his mistakes all the time. You can't come into one season of conservatism and know that everybody points that people that four people point out his mistakes and nobody else points out his mistakes. People point out his mistakes all the time. They point out things that they disagree. Everybody doesn't agree with everything that Trump does. I, for one, am not one of those. So I don't know if you know, that's a pretty big brush to paint everybody with, to paint his supporters with. People will point out his mistakes. Yes. Is he a human being? Yes. They're going to point, he's a human being. So yes, he's entitled to mistakes. Yes, he is. Is he, whether you're spiritual or not, can you name anybody without sin? If you find them, let us know. There's nobody out here without any sin. But that's an elite kind of that's an elite frame of mind. Only the elite cannot make mistakes. No matter how many mistakes the previous administration makes, they don't talk about that either. I can see a majority of the Obama supporters don't point out his mistakes. But can I say that all? But for the ones that do point out his mistakes, they've gone away from that. Yeah. Did Pence make some mistakes? Are you talking about the debate right now? You're talking about converting gays. See, you're going to have to do your own. You're going to have to do your own fact checking on that. And then what I think you're referring to, I think that's already been debunked as well. Do you know that there are actually gay and lesbian Trump supporters? And they're not running from Mike Pence. They're not worried about, they're not running from conversion therapy. You might check out the walkaway movement. Just saying. Because the founder of the walkaway movement actually happens to be a gay man himself. There's quite a few more. There's more. So there again, so we're going to the Green New Deal. See, the Green New Deal is going to make everything right. Right? And see, they don't talk about that. You know, Kamala, she's all in for the Green New Deal, but she doesn't want to talk about it. She doesn't want to shake her head, because in order for them to do a Green New Deal, oh yeah, your taxes are going to get raised. Where do people actually think the money comes from? It doesn't rain out of the sky. Everything that they talk about, she talked about tonight about free college, and there's nothing for free. There's nothing for free. And no matter where you are in the tax bracket, there's nothing for free. Okay, so he says, I'll stay on topic. What did you think about his stance on Breonna Taylor? I don't think he's expounded much on Breonna Taylor. I really don't. I don't think he talked about Breonna Taylor very much. I know that he, from what I remember, he expressed his condolences for Breonna Taylor. But there again, the media, the media has also, they've played a role in that. So it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about the truth. Do people care about what is truth anymore? What are facts? I mean, we heard Kamala Harris's version of that. She's saying that she's spoken to Breonna Taylor's family. Does that mean, listen, you're not doing anything until you're actually doing anything? Because she's emoting about something, that doesn't mean that's not making a difference when you talk about somebody that's lost their life. I don't think he got into that. He didn't get into that very much. The only thing we had Kamala doing was talking about, we had her talking about unarmed Americans and what's possible in the country and what's not possible. If everybody's so concerned, this is where the hypocrisy comes in. There are a lot of people that have lost their lives. A lot of people have lost their lives since May, since George Floyd. You've had Black cops to lose their lives, and you don't hear people whining and crying about them. You've had Black Trump supporters lose their lives, and as people like to throw out this word "deserved," as if they get to decide as if we're in control of what somebody deserves, or do we get what we deserve? If you're a Trump supporter, does that mean your life is less valuable? Are you less of a human being because you disagree with somebody politically? You don't hear anybody talking about that. You don't hear anybody talking about the children, the amount of violence in Chicago. You don't hear anything about that. So if lives matter, if everybody's in for justice for Blacks, well, should it be across the board then, right? It shouldn't just serve one person's agenda. It shouldn't move one person's agenda forward. If these people are genuine, they're not. In fact, has anybody said anything about the legend, the 3-year-old, the legend kid? Nothing. See, they cherry pick what drives their agenda. I mean, I guess if it's okay with you guys, if some lives matter, I get it. It's no less disappointing, but I get it. Just, by the way, despite the connection that Blacks have with Democrats, it doesn't represent me. My mom is Republican, and most of my family are. I'm neither. Well, listen. I respect you. I respect you for coming on. I really appreciate it. And you know what? This is the thing. I'm not a person that's 100% sold on the left-right paradigm. I'm certainly not sold on the left. But what I'm saying is that we have to put everything out on the table if you're in search of justice. You have to put everything out. You have to put it all out on the table. And the thing about it is, these cases that are still under development, I'm not one of these people that's hair trigger to pull and do judgment on anything, because there's a multitude of narratives going on the Taylor case. And I said, Pence didn't speak about that very much at all. He did not. Kamala overcompensated. She overcompensated, because this is my thing. Kamala Harris, to me, is a fraud. She's going to say whatever she needs to say to get elected or to put her in place. So he says, I agree with you. Also, I don't like the term Black Lives Matter. Black lives don't matter more than of the lives based on race. I respect that. But the thing about it is but then when you keep seeing, the thing about it is you keep seeing some of the same kind of scenarios going on over and over and over again. You have to think something. Is there something? You got to think outside of the box. So, I mean, Kamala has run as the first Indian woman. She's a Black woman. I mean, what else can she be? I mean, what is it? The 23 chromosomes test, or the 23andMe? I mean, is she going to take that to determine what she's going to be next? I'm just saying, stop falling for the cons. Stop falling for the frauds. And I just think that you can't have you can't, to me, it's more important to know what both sides are saying and then do your own research, your own framework. I tell everybody, fact check everything. Fact check what I say. You're not absolved. See, the thing is, you're not absolved of self-education no matter where you go for information. Even when kids go to school, they need that. Reading is still, that self-education should not leave. Your education should not stop with that school day. Your school day does not end. Your learning does not end with that school day. You need as much framework as you can get. But please don't rely on the media for everything, or even for anything. Read a book with a spine, with some threading on the back. Let's see. Dawn's Journey. I understand the sentiment of BLM, but the agenda is poorly executed and wrong. The sentiment that Black people should be treated equally by cops and other races is something that should be known. I appreciate you for sharing that. I mean, I appreciate you, for coming in, and differences of opinion. It's differences of opinions, and then when it comes to the differences, it's sketchy when it gets the difference between fact and propaganda, or just raw bias. I mean, one day, I think all the truth about many things are going to come out, and then will it make a difference? I don't know. Shout out to King Julian 40. Thank you so much for Periscope coming in. Old Head, High Chaos Cutthroat. Thank you guys so much for taking care with Channelytics here. This is at Ottoman Crew. How much transparency is in the House and Senate daily exercises historically speaking? It's there's the see, the thing about it is, the thing that Kamala did, she got up there and she lauded and touted, oh, we got Sidney McCain and the coalition that we built. She's talking about the New World Order. She's talking about a globalist coalition that wants to turn the government and economics over to the UN. That's the coalition that she's talking about. And you know what? She talked about that same coalition, the Obama coalition. That's one and the same. You have to. There's heights of government, and it go beyond the presidency. We have the CFR. That's the Council of Foreign Relations. We have CFR corporations. Fox News is a CFR, a member of the CFR. It's a whole laundry list. There's pages of CFR members. And what they wanted for this country has not happened. It has not happened. So again, Kamala was touting socialism. Everything's free, right? But at whose cost? At what cost? It's going to be transgenerational debt. This is debt that's going to be passed on to the next generation. More taxes. I've never understood the last thing that people need would be more taxes. I don't know, maybe you guys are independently wealthy out there in the chat. Who out there can afford more taxes? Can you afford to have more money come out of your paycheck every month? Can you? What? 20% more? Will that hurt? 30% more? 40%? How much more taxes do you need before it breaks you, or before you can no longer pay or afford what you have? But see, there again, there's a difference in the conservative economics and the liberal left economics. Flat economies come from high taxes and regulations. And they're totally demonizing capitalism. There's another piece I want to do on the Pope. Everybody's demonizing capitalism, but they're also, everything they have is because of capitalism. And I'm just thinking, why don't Americans just write their own tax brackets? You tell them how much taxes will take, how much more can you have, how much less money can you afford to have not come into your home? $1,000 a month, $500 a month, $200 a month. I mean, if you have kids, it's even more critical. Let's see. John Stern said, I was racially profiled plenty of times, but it shouldn't be mixed in with BLM. But historically, in my life, I've been treated as if I don't matter. So I think that is the sentiment. Well, I'm going to tell you, Don's journey. It's not perfect out here. I'm not saying that it is, but I'm saying I think that, as I said earlier, I think that the Black community needs more of a problem-solving approach. And when I say that, the hand that you were dealt, that's kind of folksy talk. The hand that you were dealt. How do you make the best out of the hand that you were dealt until you can do better? Because that's what we do. That's what everybody ends up doing. And I'm not saying that, oh, well, there shouldn't be. I mean, if you've been racially profiled, I imagine that's a horrible thing. And I will be honest, I'm going to say, there's been times in my life where I've thought that I've been stifled. Or either somebody pretty much, they'll tell you. Most people that have an overt tendency to be racist or discriminatory, they'll come right out and tell you. But I will never paint an entire group of people and say that the whole world is that way. I mean, some people are just jerks, and a jerk doesn't really have a color. A jerk doesn't have a race. Somebody having a bad day, I can't draw that down. And then if you give it enough time, you'll see other people. You'll know by the way they treat other people. What I can witness, I try not to put my hands on things that I cannot prove. I think sometimes I think it's something within, like it's something within that makes people, because we've all been trained. We've had that kind of talk come from our communities. We've had people tell us that we're going to be held back because of racial reasons. And I'm sure that contributes to the way you feel about things. If you got people telling you that all the time, or when you can come up with no other reason, or when you're without logic, then that's what you go to. Oh, well, they must have done it because I'm Black. And then just ask them right out. Somebody says, will you promise not to steal something if I leave you in my office? I would say, well, I am a working woman. I don't have a criminal record. What would make you concerned? I mean, I took the day off to come here. So what would make you think I need to steal something from you in order to be here with you? Yeah. So I mean, I'm saying I appreciate you for sharing Dawn's journey. I really appreciate it. Old Head Dude says people suck, except for this. Shout out to you, Old Head. Crazy Chick Sheena says Black people have been voting Democrat 60 plus years, and the Black community has lost, not gained. Why is that? I think it's because of the con. Crazy Chick Sheena. The thing about it is, I think a lot of people figured out that they could make money off of people's misery. I've told you guys before, We Shall Overcome was not originated here in the States. It wasn't. They used the same thing in Algeria. They used it in China. It was done in Cuba. It was done in Venezuela. They used the same thing to move ideologies forward. And not only that, I'm of the thought that if civil rights were won under the auspices of people of the wrong people leading it, or the people that were sponsoring it, if they were misled, if they were groomed by the misleaders, then what did we actually win? Because right now everybody's flying under the banner of civil rights, right? It's like in many cases we're back to segregation. The thing about it is, I don't know if, for me, it's almost like they want to champion civil rights under the Black community, but no, I don't think that was a movement for Black people. I refuse to submit to that, because you see how easy it is for them to manipulate it today. It is very easy for them. They've added the LGBT community to it. They've added everybody under the sun, and they'll call it civil rights. So if they can add everybody under the sun that are not Blacks, or if they can if Blacks start to somehow lose what they fought for, what they thought they were fighting for, was it really a win? But I tell you one thing, it somehow hitched the Black community to the Democrat Party. And that was the longest filibuster in history, a 72-hour filibuster that the Democrats fought against civil rights. See, they don't tell you that. They don't tell you that. Their president, LBJ, who came after JFK. So if they're really for the people, like somebody was telling me the other night, a friend of mine was saying, oh, well, they always say that the Democrats are for the people. What people? It doesn't matter who they are, because they can move in and out. They'll move right on to the next group of people, right? They'll move right on to the next group of people that they're going to use to push their agendas forward. In fact, you have many LGBTQ people that don't want to be associated with Democrats, because they see that they're getting ready to expound civil rights, and which they think is going to associate them with negative. It's going to give them negative associations. They don't want to be misrepresented. They don't want to be misrepresented. But they realize it. They've got it. They've woke up to the con. They'll say they're fighting for you until the next group comes along. And what is the next group, ladies and gentlemen? We've been talking about this for a while on this channel. It's the illegal immigrants. You see, what is it now? What is it? Nancy is holding the funds up again, unless you give them issue checks to illegal immigrants and let everybody out of jail, and the whole laundry list. The new voter base will be used just like Blacks. And you will never overcome, because that was never the goal. We shall overcome. You will never overcome, because that was never the goal. I hear you, Dawn's Journey. All right, so I'm going to go on to the economy part of this. So 1/3ish, they talked about the Affordable Care Act. Well, when they say, 60 million people were covered, but how many people live in the United States? if you cover, a lot of people weren't eligible for that. They went on, you go onto the marketplace, and some of those prices were not any, they weren't any better. They weren't any better than the regular market. A lot of people got cut off. A lot of people lost money. Healthcare professionals lost money because they were not going to, either they weren't accepting that insurance, or they weren't accepting the terms or the conditions of it. They weren't making those deals. All right, so let me move on here. So I'm already like 50 minutes plus in. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Appreciate it. Okay, so yeah, so she talked about 60 million people that were able to get Obamacare. And then they talk about the pre-existing conditions. She lauded that, and then she turned around and talked about how COVID will affect, it's probably going to affect people's life insurance as well. See, this is what I'm talking about. You can tell they're always doing the whole, the class warfare. Oh, Trump's rich and this person's rich, and that's why he's evil, and he's more evil than I am because he's slightly more richer than the last person. But she turned around and blew her own argument. So there you are, you're talking about insurance, but then you talk about in the same breath that people could very well be discriminated against based on having COVID. Hey, do you see that? You talk about pre-existing conditions. So you're saying that the ACA actually provided there was a provision for a pre-existing condition, but then you also turn around saying that somehow people might be not able to get insurance, or to me that's the implication. So that's what insurance companies do. They ask you a stack of health questions, and they're doing that more so now. Even for life insurance, they want to know what your health history is. Are you a smoker? What's your weight? If you've had COVID, that might add another $200 on your health insurance. It might add another $500 or another $1,000 or $5,000 onto your life insurance policy. This COVID thing is not going away, folks. I know, and that's my assertion. Okay, that is my assertion. It's not going away. It's going to be in our lives. It's going to be in our insurance policies. And I don't know. And see, even if the insurances haven't gotten to that point, they're going to get into it now because they heard this is a lawmaker. This is a lawmaker talking about COVID. And I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I don't project or profess to be. But in terms of, I'm not sure, if for those that have had it or not had it, I don't know what that's going to mean for your actual, insurance benefits. I don't know. I mean, it's expensive enough. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens with the healthcare. I would like to hear more about healthcare. I really would. But I don't know if this socialized medicine. See, this is the thing. This is what we're on the brink of medical tyranny already. So do you really want the government getting into your biometrics, into your DNA? Yikes, that's literally. Do you really want them getting involved with your DNA or your biometrics? And see, in these trials that they're talking about, they're in phase 3 of the trials, and they're looking for people. They're looking for people to, shout out to Crazy Chick Sheena. Thanks, Crazy Chick Sheena. They're looking for people with very specific biometrics. They're looking for people under 150 pounds and a certain age group from age 46 and up. And then they're offering $8,000 cash for 14 days. Plus 14 days. You can find it anywhere. You could probably find. And see, the thing about it is people need cash. Some people need cash right now. So what do you think they're going to do? They might be willing to go out there and do that test and do that trial. plus 14 days because they need the cash. If you're laid off, you can see, many of the airlines and many industries, they don't have what they need. I mean, they don't have, I'm not gonna say they don't have what they need. They don't have the, I guess they don't have the confidence, I guess, to go forward with as many employees being on their payrolls. So I don't know. I don't know what Pelosi's going to do. I don't see them coming up with anything anytime soon. I don't. And here's my last point. Man, I've been all over the place tonight. So I will say that I think that the moderator cut Pence off quite a few times. And I will say that the fracking issue, he was very factual on that. In fact, many of these things, Biden's been on video saying many of these things. In fact, he was the one that suggested that coal miners learn to code. Do you guys remember that? The rally last year? He told us people they should learn to code. All in the name of part and parcel Green New Deal. And that's a very dangerous job. But they work hard, and it's very insulting to have someone running. I mean, the thing about it is the way they go at Trump and the things that I've seen are that seen him live doing to people, saying to people, calling people fatso or whatever. I'll challenge you out back, or just all this bar talk, behind the barn talk that he does. But because he's a career politician, he looks better. He looks better doing it than a New Yorker. Shout out to everybody in the stream. So we'll see what happens next. I think the 15th is the next debate. So we'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens there. So I'm going to read a couple comments, and then we're going to wrap this one up. I really appreciate it, guys. I was just mainly kind of dealing with the economy and talking a bit about the pandemic, which is not going anywhere. So you never miss an opportunity. You never miss out on crisis, right? Because I think a lot of things are going to come out. It's advantageous. They're going to use it to do as many things as they can. Crazy Chick Sheena says in Democrat cities, they are calling us in New York, Boston, Baltimore, Providence, Rhode Island, asking ready to have baby in the early 2000s. This Planned Parenthood real happen? Not sure. Jack Flash, give the Dems power on public health and they will use it. This is evident every Dem-run state. About time. Shout out to you. Says the Green New Deal is dirtier than coal mining. Jack Flash, everything shut down, mandatory mask, closed churches, and riot encouraged. That sounds like, I appreciate it. Yes, but I'm going to get out of here, make like a banana and split. Appreciate you guys so much for coming on, and I appreciate it very much. And I don't know, maybe I'll see you guys around. What are we on? This is Wednesday. Yeah, who knows what can happen? Maybe a couple streams. Who knows? You guys have a great rest of your Wednesday evening, or Thursday morning, rather. I appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next live stream, the next video in the comments section. And I'm sure we'll talk more about this debate, but these are just some of the initial things. And I appreciate you guys so much. Have a great rest of your evening. Thank you. Take care.